Hello, everybody, and welcome to 321 Go. My name is Ben Barber, and I am your host. This is going to be a regular show, an almost daily show, where we're going to talk to some really interesting, awesome people who really embody the spirit of going out and doing things and chasing their dreams and making things happen for themselves or their community. I'm really excited. There's a lot of awesome guests lined up. We're going to cover things from local businesses to nonprofits to influencers, content creators, business owners, all sorts of things. Today, on my first episode, I am thrilled to have on one of my favorite people in the entire world. Just don't tell him that because he already has a big enough head. Content creator extraordinaire, Bricks O'Brien, Brian Saviano himself. Brian, my friend, how are you?
I was going through some childhood photos today, Ben, and I had a big head back in the day as well, just as I do now. Thank you. I'm
Honestly,
doing well.
that doesn't surprise me at all.
Giant gourd. It was big head. Big head.
Brian is the most famous person he is the number one celebrity in for our household. Uh that's a true statement. Brian, we have been fans of Brian Saviano for many years, and for the last year or so, I've been happy to consider you a friend. Can you elaborate a little bit on what you do?
I do all of the content creation things that some 20 something year olds do online, whether it is live streaming on Twitch or doing daily videos on YouTube, putting things out onto Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all the social media platforms everywhere. I bring my very best as a family or brand friendly content producer, whether it's playing Animal Crossing, Mario Kart, or really whatever is the new thing that people really like. I tend to put my own spin on it in my own charismatic and hilarious way that is suitable for people of all ages.
Absolutely. And that is how you and I got connected. I live with my best friend's now 6-year-old son, who's actually he's on the other half of 6. He's getting close to 7, and that feels crazy. When he was 2, between when he was 2 and 3, he became a huge fan of Mr. Saviano. And there was a phase when he was like 4 years old where he only referred to you as Mr. Saviano, and I don't know why. I think you said it in a live s in a not in a live stream, but in a video once.
Yep.
You said, like, "Call me Mr. Saviano," and he did for, like, a year. He was like we were like, How do you know that song?" And he was like, "Oh, Mr. Saviano sings it." It was like you were his teacher. It was
At least
very
it's
strange,
formal. It's
but
formal.
yes. Anyway, so Braden is a gigantic fan for many years. I would watch him in early in the mornings when his mom would go to work, and I would be half asleep at like 6:30 in the morning, and your voice is just blasting. And he's older now and gets up by himself, and I but it happened recently, and it's always weird to me. Or sometimes now he'll go to bed. So now it's the opposite. He'll go to bed at night and the TV in the living room will be left on, and it's just your voice, and it's very strange now specifically because we're friends and I hear your voice all the time in normal conversation, and I completely have it separated from the voice on the TV, Brian Saviano. It's very weird. They're 2 different things. I don't think that it's, like, abnormal. It's as if there's a TV show on in the background, and I don't think, "Hey, that's my friend Brian." But when I say that you are the biggest celebrity to the people in this house, I mean it. I mean it. At least one.
Well, thank you. I mean, it's always been very surreal to me for as long as I've been doing this, professionally and not professionally. I've struggled with the impact that I have on people because I'm always alone in this office doing the thing, and I only really get to see the reaction unless like a parent or somebody else shows me this is how somebody's reacting to what I do, or I meet them at a convention or otherwise, and that's when it really hits me. So if I went long periods of time without seeing that reaction, I'm like going into the void. Like, is this actually working? Is this a thing? And I only knew from people like you who would reach out and be like, "No, but really, you you're a celebrity in this house." I'm like, "Oh, okay." And then I really start to understand it. But I'm always honored, always.
Um, Speaking of, you did don't sell yourself short either, because you just had a big thing the other day. Um, you spoke at a prestigious university in here in these United States for Entrepreneurship Week, which is awesome. Can you talk a little bit about what that was like?
Yeah, so I got approached by Peter Hornberger, who is lack of a better term, like he's like a showrunner over at Penn State and basically articulates all these different program ideas and people to speak as a part of different programs over at Penn State Abington. And through discovering what I was doing on my live streams, collaborating with other people in different areas of the Lego community, he found that I had a good insight into how I'm doing what I'm doing and like how I'm doing it, and that I would be a good fit to somebody to be a part of their global entrepreneurship week and talk about what it's like to be a content creator, a 25, 26-year-old guy who's just doing all the things, and how am I managing this, and what made me start in the first place, and the impact that that has on me in my life. And it was something I had never done before. I've not gone to Penn State or any secondary school of any kind. So it is that classic situation where it's like, of course, the guy who's never gone to college is going to speak at the college. Um, but Peter identified to me that there is a disconnect between the faculty and the students in how they are communicating with each other, and that there's some sort of bridge that needs to be there between the younger people that need to relate to the older people, but you can speak to the young generation, but can you also have the presentation to speak to the professors with confidence, respect, and authority? And I find myself as one of those people that can talk to both the kids and the adults in my content, and it worked out really well. So hopefully there's more to be seen from that. I thought it went really well, and I think I'm in a position where I could do that at Penn State or wherever else. It was really fun. A lot of my mom squad showed up. A lot of my fans showed up. So it was really awesome to see. And I think people got a lot out of it compared to what they normally see out of me, or even the more serious talks. I think everybody learned a little something new from me and the whole experience.
Yeah, it's interesting. First of all, I do want to say that you do speak, and this is why you and I are friends. Like, you do speak to everyone in the room, right? And that's, you are a family friendly content creator, and you have been doing that for years. And what's interesting about now, right? What's interesting about right now, like, my parents had no interest in Mario. They had no interest in playing video games with me. It was a different generation. It was a,
Yep.
and now that the parents are the kids that grew up in the 80s and 90s, and grew up with video games, like, especially, you play a lot of games on the Switch, and a lot of these have so much nostalgia to the parents that it becomes a whole family event. And there's something, actually, because I listened to your talk at Penn State last night. And you talked about the bonding experience that's happening now, that, by the way, never happened in other generations around this medium, which is, you said specifically, like, you go to play Mario Kart with your kid after school, and it's great because even if you only have one Switch controller, you can split it in half and each of you get to play. And then you talked about how, like, the kid opens up, you know, and like, now he or she will actually tell you about their school day because they're not focused on that. they're able to do that stuff, and that's so beautiful that families are having these connections, and that there are some content creators, not that I mean, I don't know, I don't know that I can actually name another one, but but that there are content creators who are like, "Hey, I'm here for the kids and I'm here for the adults, and we can all have fun together because you guys can have fun together, and let's do this." And I think that that is absolutely beautiful. Can you talk a little bit about, like, that connection and what you see, like, with the because you have the mom squad group, you have a lot of parents that talk to you on a daily basis. What is that like?
It's it's great to hear that the parents are willing to have that connection with their kids, and it comes down to, like what you said, had not happened in previous generations, which is a overall willingness to facilitate that bonding experience. Where previous generations, what's a video game? I'm not playing that. Go outside and play football. All right, don't you play that game, But now the fathers are playing the game with the kid, and it's something that it, when you're playing a game, you're in a certain zone of just you're not necessarily a zombie in front of the TV. You're engaging using your brain in a different way than you would be just watching a TV show. And while you're watching a TV show or a movie, you don't want to talk through it because you're actually, watching the thing. The video game, your mind is going, but you can still have a conversation while it's happening. I prove that by having a literal conversation with myself while playing a video game. And what I specifically talked about with that in the Penn State talk was the how I got to the point about parents bonding with their kids was talking about, if a kid wants to start up a YouTube channel on private mode, you record some Nintendo Switch gameplay and they just talk into the microphone about their day, even if the parent isn't supervising exactly what's happening there, by talking about what you've done at school during your daily life. You're getting this sort of self therapy in a way out of your system, and it happens to be recorded. You don't have to share it anywhere, but even that activity in itself, that ability to talk and discuss and open up while you're doing this thing, sets a precedent with what I do for that younger generation. And Nintendo games specifically, like a Mario Kart or a Mario Party, you're not reading dialogue, you're not as engaged with the story. So you can play with multiple people, you can have multiple conversations at the same time. And if people are seeing content creators like myself opening up about their daily lives, mundane or otherwise, then why wouldn't kids feel comfortable doing that? Or parents opening up that gateway with their kids. And in an age of mental health being at the forefront and needed more than ever, given the past year and a half, you have to have that open dialogue of communication. You have to discuss it. And it's so important.
I had a friend, a couple months ago who was talking to, they said that they talked to their therapist about, like, how to communicate with their child, and the therapist was like, when I talk to kids, when I have therapy with kids, and the reason why, like, you know, virtual therapy doesn't work as well with kids, is that like, therapists, when they have therapy sessions with children, will often play games with them and not, like, sit them down and look
Yeah.
them up,
Right.
and sometimes, like, that's very intimidating, and it's that whole thing. It's like that slight bit of distraction is enough for them to not feel like on the spot, and then they're able to I think it's beautiful. I think it's definitely, like, a wonderful thing, and it's a cool thing to, like, think about. Another thing that I'd love to point out is that you are, and I joked about this a little bit with you yesterday. Um, you're a 25-year-old who did not go to college, who just spoke at a college about entrepreneurship, and and that's some pretty cool stuff. And, like, you think about it and it's like, cool. I mean, you're 25, that's really young. However, you've been doing this for like 12 years.
Yeah, it's not a short amount of time. Yeah,
Not at all. No. Uh
no.
that's like that's awesome. That's crazy. Like you've been doing this. I'm 9 years older than you, and which feels weird to say. I feel really old now that I said that. I'm 9 years older than you. I thought that I started really young at what I'm doing, because they literally wouldn't let you produce things when you were under 16 years old. Like,
Right.
they would nobody would rent you a building. Um, but like, you started at 13, or 12 or 13, right? Putting
13,
up
yeah.
yeah, putting up videos, on the internet and doing this thing. When you started doing that as a child, as an adolescent, did you is this where you wanted to go, or were you just a kid, you know, "Hey, YouTube's a thing, I could do this, so I'm gonna."
For me, I always knew deep down, no matter what I did, I didn't want to be miserable. I didn't want to go to work every day and be in a position where I hate my existence because I had seen too many people not directly say they hated their existence, but like it's a very uneventful life. You know, you go, you do the thing for 8 hours a day. You come back home, get a raise every year. That's it. And with the way that the internet was progressing, YouTube was at a very early stage back in 2009, 2010, which, with all that considered, everything ramped up tenfold since then. And all this micro content and, how social media developed is totally changed, is totally different. I was on Twitter back during those days too. Like, I had no business being on Twitter, no idea how to use it, any of it, but I knew it was all brand new and I knew that there were endless possibilities. And that to me was very appealing. And it wasn't like opening up a business. Let me rent a building and stock up on liquor and open a liquor store. Like, it's not, I don't want to do that. I don't want to,
You jumped straight to the only business you could think of was opening a liquor store.
well, because I watch enough Gary Vee that I'm like, I open up a liquor store at whatever age. So I hear all that. And I'm like, I could open up a business. I could do all this. And I'm like, it just doesn't sound fun. Like, what can I do that is fun enough and something I'm good enough at that I can share my passion? And it just developed into that way. Like, I knew once I started to get semi-serious about it, which was like later toward high school, when I started working for other channels and like putting myself out there, I'm like, okay, I have the ability within my own self-awareness, that I could go to a different channel or work for myself or do whatever and have enough aptitude to get better at it.
Mhm.
If I have the right tools to do the thing, then I can do the thing. And where I find myself at right now, as we were talking right before the stream, is with the way that social media is compared to how it was back then, and especially at the age I was at, there were only so many things you could do and things you could focus on. Where now, if you want to get started doing in this thing, there's so many other things to like do a little bit of. And for as much that I've accomplished in the years that I've been doing this for other channels and myself, I feel like I'm still just starting. And I haven't had a lot of experience compared to a lot of other people. But no matter what, from that get-go, I knew that there was a lot more that could be done with someone in my position. And now with the world that it's in, there are YouTubers, which I'm not a YouTuber, but there are YouTubers that have their own merchandise lines in Target.
Yep.
So what's to stop Bricks O'Brien from putting the brand itself in the right position to get that animated TV show, to get that product line at a Target, or develop a virtual world of blah blah blah, whatever. Like, the possibilities of all that are endless. And that idea that the possibilities were endless from when I was a young age convinced me that yes, this is the thing. keep doing it.
I believe in you, Brian.
Hey, thanks, man.
Um, you're welcome. I think like I had a choice earlier this year. I had a choice. I could get you mentioned Gary V earlier. I could have gotten a V friend NFT or I could have gotten a Brooks O'Brien NFT, and I chose to invest in you.
My oh
It
my, what a
was
mistake you made, my friend.
I chose to invest in you. Now there was a considerable difference in price. But anyway, my
And you had to wait 2 months for the transaction to go through on the
do you know why?
blockchain.
Do you know why? Because I had no idea what I was doing with crypto, and I lowered the gas fee so much. I was like, they'll just let me pay whatever for the gas fee. I had no idea. So I lowered it so much that it became like the lowest priority that anybody could possibly have on a blockchain.
Yep, yep.
And it eventually months later went through.
It's
But
incredible. But
whatever,
yeah,
because I got the only current Brooks O'Brien NFT.
yep. And that whole thing, I know a lot of people in the gaming space in particular are bashing on it because of microtransactions and like what it means and like all that technology nowhere near developed to the way that social media it's the same sort of thing, early days, the misconceptions or whatever. It's not something I feel confident in, like very going in on as Bricks O'Brien,
Right.
as a family friendly creator, as a brand friendly creator. No, not right now, but
Um, I so what you said a minute ago about like YouTube being in its infancy, I because I see a lot of similarities between you and I. Like, obviously, like we're friends, and we've talked a lot about like what we were like as kids, and how we got into this crazy like world that we're in. Um, sort of similar ish paths, but it's funny to me, like, so I'm 9 years older than you. When I graduated high school, it was '05, and that's when I was 16, when I 16, 17 when I started, my company, and we so, like, in '02 or 2000 when I was 13, 2000, 2001 when I was 13, there was no Facebook, there was no YouTube, there was none of that. By the time I graduated high school, like, we had to theater was my outlet, and theater was the space where I was able to be creative and be autonomous and be the director and do all of those things. And because of that, like, I personally needed to depend on, like, every friend I had at the time in '05, '06, '07. And it was this thing where, like, naturally when you're 17, 18 to 20, 21, friends leave. Like,
yeah,
they go to colleges, they move, they go to different things, they get busy, they work, they, do whatever. And, but, we didn't have this opportunity to it wasn't until the 2009, 2010 area, which is when you were 13 and doing the exact same thing, that we were able to go like, we could just make videos, and we can make podcasts, like, we can do this aspect of things. And that's when it became just me and Dave, and like the rest of the friends that we had to depend on. Technology changed so quickly, and there's a huge part of me that, like, thinks if I was so I was 22 by the time you were 13, and so much of my identity was in this community building thing because of the theater, that, I adore the way that you were able to bet on yourself from such an early age and put your own happiness in your own hands. And, like, for that alone, the fact that you started making YouTube videos at 13 of yourself gaming, and you like figured out Twitter and all of this stuff, and that you're still doing it, and that you're entertaining families while you yourself are at such a young age still, Um, I think, like, it's tremendous, and I admire all of the work ethic that you have and everything that you've, put in because you've built something, and I know that, like, sometimes being the person that's in the trenches and doing it every day, especially when you're doing it by yourself, it's really hard to see, like, to record your wins and to, like, feel accomplished. But from an outsider's perspective, man, like, if you were 35, I would be impressed with the amount of work that you've put in over your, you know, your adult life. And the fact that you're only 25, like, you're so young, and you're so good at what you do, and there's so much potential, and you carry yourself with such a fun matureness that I could not be like, seriously, if you have kids, if you don't have kids, if you like video games, if you like Legos, if you like people Lego, I'm sorry, if you like people just talking about stuff that matters and are good and insightful people, like, you got something for everybody, and I love it.
Thank you. And what you just said right there is a word that was instilled in me during my, I want to say, 7th grade science teacher meeting at school that she told my mother when I went to talk about my grades and whatnot, and how I wasn't performing to the level that I was at. But my science teacher at the time said, you know, Brian is a decent like, he's a good student. He has a lot of potential. And that word, because of how she explained it, stuck with me, because potential is this thing that has the ability to move and go and do things, but isn't. And why is it not? And no matter what I do in my life, I don't want to leave any potential on the table, because if I have enough health in my soul and my heart, physically, mentally, emotionally, I want to be able to do all those things in spite of how overworked it might feel for me, in spite of whatever adversities. Like, I feel like I can hit whatever goal I put my mind to, at least when it comes to content creation and all, you know, all this stuff. I can hit that mark because I know I have that potential within me. Now, when it comes to other parts of my life, yeah, sure, the wife and kids, white picket fence, whatever. But I know I have it within me. And because so many more people are watching, so many more people like me as the go to entertainment rather than music or movies or TV, it's only going to get higher and greater, and more attention and more whatever. So, what's to stop me from dreaming whatever dream I want to dream and go for it? And that idea keeps me going through no matter what, while being a brand friendly content creator for anyone to enjoy.
This is a weird thing to say because
Okay.
because you are my friend, and whatever. I look up to you.
Oh, stop it, Benjamin.
No, I
Come
genuinely do.
on.
Like, I look up to you a little bit. And anybody that's watching the video, and if you're not watching the video for this, like, please go to YouTube or whatever and check this out because Brian's setup is something that I'm very envious of. Not
All the
that, like, I
toys.
yeah, like, that doesn't fit me, but, like, the professionalism and the care that has gone into that is fantastic.
Well,
Like,
that's because Penn State. That was that background there. Sometimes it looks a little disheveled, but then yeah, Pokemon is coming out in like a week, so it's all Pokemon related. Yeah, I try to
listen,
theme it up.
you have but, I mean, you have, the LEDs, you have the DSLR on the back of the on the back of the computer, you have the SM7B, you have, you know, the mood lighting, like, it's all, like, tight, it's all spot on, right? And that is, it's a level of thoughtfulness and a level of, like, and it's a level of professionalism, and it's like that is something that is there's so much care that goes into everything that you do, and I know this from knowing you, like, you're thinking about this stuff when you wake up in the morning, you're thinking about it at 2 o'clock in the morning before you go to bed, um, and, like, that's really cool, and I look up to that, like, I look up to your work ethic, when it comes to this, and, uh for myself, like, personally and selfishly, like, there are so many things that I don't do that I have the easy ability to do, um, that, uh, talking to you and and watching your stuff either with Braden or I watch your stuff all the time by myself now, especially your Twitch streams, because I think that they're hilarious, especially the chat. Uh, and but, like, I have multiple DSLRs. I have multiple capture cards. I don't know where any of them are at the moment. I have multiple DSLRs, I have multiple capture cards. I could very easily have a nice camera behind my computer right now. I just don't, and I still don't, and it's been a year and a half since the first time you and I did an interview. I have even, like, a nice HD Logitech webcam. I'm not using it. I put it in for a meeting earlier with somebody else because it was a corporate gig and we sent them all these Logitechs, and I put mine in and it was washed out because my light is too bright. It's bright enough for my MacBook camera, but it's too bright for this, but I didn't feel like adjusting my ring light, so I just took this out and left it, and I was like, "I'll just use this." I have one LED light in the background, like, the things that I have done, and these are just a random smattering of a clock that a girl gave me, that I don't even know if I like, a random Inside Llewyn Davis poster that Dave's sister gave me for Christmas 5 years ago, and an off-color believe sign from Ted Lasso that my friend's mom made me. Like, those are and there used to be a TV that Brian yelled at me about that was just sitting, next to my couch for, like, a 7 months. Um, like, the amount of care that you put into everything that you do, all of your success is more than deserved, and I can't wait to see where it goes because I'm somebody who also does this professionally. Like, we're in a different genre. I'm not a content creator like you are. I help other people do it, but, like, I could have my stuff together better. And, like, I am in awe of the would you say that it's perfectionism, or would you say that, like, no,
No,
you just give a crap?
I care because I have the ability within me to do it, and to me, it just seems right. It feels right when I make the bet. Like it's not any level of in for the background. For example, I didn't take interior design. I don't know what I'm none of that. Right? Nothing. Whatever. It just okay. Does this look good? Does this feel good? Like when I'm developing a new series or a new product, like for example, this thing right here. If you're watching the video version of this show, is a Bricks O'Brien Christmas card. I don't know if you saw this, Ben,
Mhm.
but this is a Christmas card. And like, okay, how many other content creators out there would have a Christmas card that is of their likeness and branding? How many would have it? Not
Very
many.
very few, but here's another thing. How many would go to the expense of having a Christmas card created that also has, like, personal nods to, like,
Well,
your chat moderators and stuff like
right.
that, and,
So
like
that's where I was gonna go with it. If you're watching the video version, all of the portraits that are on the wall are of my moderators for Discord and for the Twitch streams, and then underneath there is a little Lego figure that is of one of my moderators as well. And all the different wrapping paper is symbolistic of the branding. One of the artists who designed this, and then the rest are branding colors of people I've collaborated with all throughout the year. So this is a thing that even the simplest thing, like, oh yeah, I could say to any graphic artist, yeah, draw a scene, do whatever. But by taking the extra level of care to make this thing happen and make it the best thing it would be, like it made sense to do it. And it didn't make any other sense to do it any other way, because that to me was the natural way that it should have been in general. And if it wasn't to this extent, then I wouldn't have done it, because it just didn't make sense. Like all the moves that I tend to make for myself are like, that makes logical sense, whether it's in my comfort zone or not. It just yes, if it makes sense, and if it's gonna have something good come out of it, content wise, emotion wise, financial wise, why wouldn't I do it? And why wouldn't I do it that way?
Yeah, you're not somebody who's like making merch necessarily to just cash in
No.
on stuff. Like you made a Bricks O'Brien ugly Christmas sweater this year that is like weirdly the best ugly Christmas sweater I've ever seen in my entire life. Like it looks great. It looks
Thank you.
phenomenal, and there's care to it, and it's special, and it's like, you know, there are giant brands that don't put that much thought into the merch that they're making. And like, you know, whether you that's the thing, like you could slap your logo on a hoodie and call it a day, and like whoever buys it, and it's all
Mhm.
about the markup and like
Mhm.
and cool whatever. But like you have like a dedicated group of families that are fans of yours, that are like always like, Brian, it'd be fun if you made leggings with your face on it.
Well,
Like,
that was perpetuated by a non-mom first, and then the
but
moms bandwagoned onto it. For
exact
clarification for the audience,
you know what? My son really wants a backpack, and then you're doing these things, and
4
like,
days later, there's a backpack, and it's,
yeah,
like, really cool.
and it's really cool, and it's like that backpack is not just like a backpack that you threw your logo on. Like it's really well designed, and like the color scheme's all perfect, and like people like these are things where like your fans are saying that they want them, and then you go through all of the expense of making them, even if you're not always getting a giant return on your investment at all. It's the love of like building a community and like making it this cool thing. um and then also, you've done a lot of great stuff where you make some shirts that they'll love, and you donate money to different causes that you care about. Like it's a really cool thing, and it's very community driven, which is like, it doesn't, on the face of it, and I know that you have said to me recently that like you've felt this sometimes, like, oh, am I like pushing merch too hard or whatever? But it's like the people are asking you to create these fun things, and then you go out and create these fun things for them, and you put like an exorbitant amount of care into it. It's almost insane. Your attention to detail. This is what I'm saying. Like your attention to detail, the amount of care that you put into all of the aspects of this, like, I admire greatly.
Well,
I don't I like, that is some wonderful human being to human being, like, love that you're putting
thank you.
in for all of these people.
And it all comes from a place of, if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it what I consider to be the right way. And trust me, I've seen it time and time again, slapping a logo on a t-shirt, the cheapest quality t-shirt, and marking it up a little bit. And you know what? That's fine. I get it. But you can do so much more, and you can do so much better, not just for the financials of your brand, but for the sake of being fun and for the sake of doing it and making that an option for people. And I like having as many options for people as possible, whether it's a sticker or a shirt, or no matter what it is. And that level of quality, that level of care that goes into it, rather, I think resonates into what the actual thing is, and the tangible thing that you're getting, and that makes people more excited about it. I never like pushing out something that I don't believe in at all. When I have a new merchandise idea, I run it by like three people. I'm like, is this a good idea? They'll tell me no, or they'll tell me, yeah, that's a good idea. You should tweak it. There you go. Sometimes the first thing that pops out is great, and then boom, it's done. But I have, thankfully, a lot of people I can run those design things by that actually know what they're talking about. And like, hey, here's a critique. Here's this. As a mom, would you buy this thing? As a graphic designer, do you like this? Like, what are what can we do better? And all of this world building is always something that I've wanted to do too, but I just didn't quite know what it was with. And it doesn't even necessarily need to be Bricks O'Brien as me, the character, whatever it is. But I want to build up to, like I mentioned before, this animated show, which I'm nowhere near close to doing financially, brand power wise, whatever. That's like way down the line. But like, why couldn't I work toward that sort of a thing? Because it's within the realm of possibility now. And these little things, like, maybe this is Bricks O'Brien's house. Maybe this is the lodge cabin. I don't know. The skyline is the city he lives in. And then what does that look like? With what would other characters in this world look like? And building all of that out. And the culmination of all those different things will happen relatively soon and expand upon the world even more. And it's just something I want to keep moving forward. Because again, why not? Why not do it? It's cool. It's, yeah.
Um, you're 25.
Yeah.
That's the like, you know, there's you're 25 and you have no signs of slowing down. Like you're only accelerating. You're only finding new avenues. How do you keep it fresh for yourself?
It's a great question.
Because you've already been doing this for a dozen years. There are ups and downs. There's the daily grind of being, committed to putting out all of this content that you do. Like, I know that sometimes you're a hamster on a wheel. How do you keep it fresh? How do you keep finding new, and how do you keep finding the same enjoyment and love that you did when you were 13?
Well, luckily, there's all these different goals that I set in my own mind for different things, and the result of different projects that are ongoing. So whether it's a series of podcasts that I'm a part of, or a project that, you kick the can way far down the field, and then you see, all the other little things that kind of go along the way. So those other projects, those other ideas keep me going past the daily. Not every day I work on those long term projects or see any movement happen on them, but they're there. And all those projects that I have, or opportunities that I have, like the Penn State Talk, me going to host a couple Lego shows, traveling to do whatever, all these different experiences keep me engaged. And unfortunately, there's a very bad habit about content creators needing to be at the wheel the whole time, making content, go, 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 live stream for 8 hours a day, take 3 hours to edit a YouTube video, make shorts and reels with 2 hours left in the day, then you go to bed, do it again. To me, as a human, first of all, impossible to maintain, because holidays, you get sick, life, like whatever, not human. A. B, no one's asking them to do that. And C, there's all these other different experiences that you don't know, these other avenues that could be unlocked by doing a random podcast with this guy you never physically met from Rhode Island at 9:30 at night, or going to Brick Fair, Virginia, and just walking around the convention floor and seeing who you talk to, or going to a comic book convention and meeting this voice actor whose class you might take because you want to get into voice. Like, there's all these other little possibilities that are out there that you never know until you put yourself in that position, and have it within you to be willing to absorb whatever hits you. whether it's valuable information or not, all those little experiences in life, all those stories from people, and just the experiences that you get along that journey are enough to keep me wanting to go out and do more. And regardless of all of that, you make a lot of content, you do a lot of stuff, but are you living a good life? Are you going out and experiencing all these different things? And nobody, for as dedicated as your audience can be and how much content they want to see from you, your audience that cares about you and wants to see you succeed, they don't want to see you shriveled up all pale behind a keyboard playing Kingdom Hearts all day. They don't. They want you to go out, live your best life, and share those experiences with them because that's what they will want for themselves. So it's your job to make the best content you can while you're there, but then also live the best life in return to enhance the content, to enhance your life. And that hamster wheel is the fulfilling hamster wheel that keeps me going.
You're 25. What is what does the next 5 years look like? What is Brixo 30 looking like?
It's a mattress stuffed to the gills with $100 bills, Ben. That's what it looks like. No, probably not. Great question. Because me 5 years ago was not Brix O'Brien. I was working for another company. I was not my own entity. And I've managed to accomplish so much in 3 years as Brix O'Brien. It'll be year 4 next August. So it's definitely year 3, young in year 3. And I have my own Roku channel, more multi-billion-dollar deals in the pipeline to be announced, but sky's the limit. And why? Well, I don't know what it could be. What I'm really hoping to do is meet fun and interesting people that see the seeds that I've planted and the amount of care that I've put into what I've done and be like, that makes a lot of sense. What can I, random person who has great connections and people, blah, 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 what can I do to amplify this tenfold? Like if I had Brian, if you had a budget of $200,000, what would you do? I don't know. I want to figure it out. And I want to make it not even revolved around me or Brix O'Brien, but just a thing. And no matter what, in 5 years from now, I really hope to work with a team of people on a thing, whether it's my thing or not.
You know what's going to be crazy? In 5 years, and maybe sooner, but by 5 years from now, you're going to be doing collaborations with people who were kids watching you.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I was doing this stuff in high school and, I wasn't entertaining a particularly large audience. And I'm like, where's my audience? They weren't born yet. It's crazy to think about that, but it's true. They weren't born yet. And that to me is another lesson I would instill in other people. The thing that young people growing up, you may end up being down your path and you're like, man, what am I going to do? What am I going to do right now for the rest of my life? The thing that you might be the best at may not exist right now. The thing that you and I, Ben, might be good at does not exist yet. What we're doing right now may seem like pennies compared to whatever comes down the line. We have no idea. And that to me is very interesting, not scary, but just interesting and very exciting.
It is like I said, 15 years ago, the internet was a very different place.
Yep.
And 15 years from now, I mean, with VR and augmented reality and the metaverse and social media changing every day, and like this is, you don't know what tomorrow's going to bring, but having the attitude of being grateful and doing what you love every day and reminding yourself of why you love it and having all of that gratitude and knowing that you're doing good work, um like, here's something, this is what I'll end on, because there's a stigma sometimes with older generations and sometimes even our generations of both people that play video games all day, people that watch other people play video games, content creators in general, you know, and I think that it speaks volumes that you just spoke at Entrepreneurship Week for Penn State, but the um escapism has never been more needed, especially during the last year and a half. Connection has never been more needed. Uh, for example, Braden met a friend over the summer, when we had all just gotten vaccinated, and like it was another family friend, family, yeah, a family friend had a kid. Like she's 7, he's 6. Like it's a great fit. And then school started, and they're both unvaccinated, obviously. So like it was like no more, but like they play Animal Crossing for hours on FaceTime with each other multiple times a week, and they are like the best of friends and haven't seen each other in person in months. And um like we've had so many nights as a family playing Mario Kart with you on one of your live streams on Twitch where you would invite things. You had a Halloween costume party where you invited like the level of connection and family time that has never been more needed is like no one can. I don't want to swear because I don't know who's going to watch this. No one can look down on, is how I'll say this. No one can look down on what you do, because it is truly providing a service to these children in a time when they need as many Bricks O'Briens as they can possibly get. So thank you for that.
You are incredibly welcome. And I look forward to doing that for as long as I can in whatever way that I can, whether it's me amplifying that ability at a much larger company, if it's myself doing it, whatever form that can be. I love making people laugh at the detriment to my own sanity on some of those live streams and videos. But I know to take whatever negativity I have and spin it into a positive, because if you don't, then you end up not down a path you want to be down, you know? So if I can be the one who spins the web of whatever's going on and making it into a funny thing and helping your day out, well then I'm still employed as far as I'm concerned.
This show was only supposed to be 5 minutes long. I apologize to you.
No, it's definitely not. It's like 5 times 11. So, yeah, it's not
I'm
even
gonna
close.
no, I'm gonna whittle it all down, and
Yeah.
and we're only gonna get the best 4 minutes and 59 seconds worth of content.
Nice.
Yeah. Brian, people can find you everywhere at Bricks O'Brien.
Yes, if you look up Brian Saviano, Briansaviano, you can find me across the internet wherever there is a internet connection. If you go and scream in your downtown area, Brian, you'll find me. I'll magically appear. I'm like a penguin waddling out of the Antarctic. Just waddle up. Hey, what's going on, kids? So, no, not even close. But anywhere, doing so good, Ben. Uh, anywhere you want to find me, you can. I'm around.
Uh, is the podcast coming back?
The podcast will be coming back. I'm happy to say that if he has his schedule cleared enough so for an hour occasionally, uh, Ben will be helping me uh, carry the flow, because I need a little bit of that in my life. And that would be something happening. I don't know when, because I have a new game release coming out next week. At the time of this recording, I have a 24-hour charity stream the week after that. And then we have Christmas and then New Year's and a partridge in a pear tree.
And then your birthday?
And my birthday, the Bob Bonanza is going to happen January 22nd. A colossal announcement coming. Man, the deck is stacked to the
Do I
nines,
know what
Ben.
the Do I know what the birthday announcement is?
Yes, you do.
Is this like the first big thing that we ever talked about?
Maybe.
I
Been
know
in
what it is.
development for a while.
I know what it is. I'm excited about it.
Yeah, you're gonna be one of the first on board, you told me.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I am. Okay, yeah, 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 for sure. I'm very excited about that. Um, I'm super excited. I love it. And once again, if anybody from the Mom Squad, or any of Brian's fans are watching this, I accept Venmo bribes for early announcement info. I am not a vault. I am easily,
Eh,
you can crack this ATM open at any time, and I will tell you all of the bricks O'Brien dirt that you
y
want.
Gotta keep the economy stimulated, Ben. You gotta keep it going.
Absolutely. I wanna tell you that I made more money off of selling your secrets this year than I did from working for the governor of Rhode Island. I made more money on these Venmos of the inside scoop on Brian Saviano future releases.
Well, then I'll just have to plan more releases that I won't tell you to compensate for the ones you have told people.
Well, I mean, no, that's not good. Anyway, Venmo me.
End this podcast. Let's get these people out of here.
Oh my god. All right. Brian, I will talk to you soon. Thank you, my friend.
You're welcome.
And thank you everybody for watching or listening, and we'll talk to you soon.